What if the Commanders give the Bears an offer they can't refuse? We talk about that in a double trade back mock draft next on the Unbearable Sports Podcast.
I'm going to take the North and never give it back.
So that's a good pick. You get the corner. I got to go bold, right? I got to go bold for this.
Yeah, she's got some nice long
Welcome back to the Unbearable Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Barron. Make sure to like and subscribe out there on YouTube. And you can catch the show live tomorrow at 7:30. We will be doing a fan mock draft. So I'll be asking you, the people, live on the show, what should the Bears do? And whatever the consensus is, we're going to try and go with that. It might be a little chaotic, but I can guarantee you it's going to be a lot of fun. So what is going on? Hope Valentine's week has been great for all of you guys. And today, we got to show some love. We're going to show some love for Justin Fields. I know a lot of you out there, you've spoken your minds. You want to see more Justin Fields content because a lot of this, we talk about Caleb Williams because a lot of the news is about the Bears going with Caleb Williams. So if you're a fan of this show, you know we like to go through every scenario because that's what Ryan Poles does. So today we're asking, what if the Bears had an offer that they can't refuse for Caleb Williams? What would that look like? And also, how does that shake up? Because I, for one, am actually not a fan of them just sticking at number 2. We'll talk about why a double trade back would be nice if the Bears end up going that route. But let's get started with some actual news. We haven't talked about this yet, but Cody Whitehair and Eddie Jackson were both cut, saving the Bears around $21 million. Y'all have already heard that enough, and we kind of said this on the show, kind of expected. Unfortunately, they're not going to be Bears with us, but especially Cody Whitehair's play fell off, and Eddie Jackson was just a little too expensive. So now the Bears have around $70 million in cap space, and we'll see what they are able to do with that money coming up. But one of those spots that the Bears might be spending that money is on Danielle Hunter. David Kaplan reported that on his show, on his recap show, he was talking about how he's kind of he hears more and more and more about Danielle Hunter being someone that the Bears are going to target this offseason. Let me know what you think down below. Are you excited for this? Do you want them to sign Danielle Hunter? And you'll see in this mock draft, I kind of don't have them going after Danielle Hunter just because we'll just see who's around at the different spots. But Danielle Hunter, it's seeming more and more likely that the Bears will pursue him. But let's talk about this whole double trade down because I don't think a lot of people knew this, but I believe it was Jay Glazer of last year reported that the Bears actually had a deal in the works to do a double trade down where the Texans were actually going to go to number 1 and the Panthers were going to go to number 2. But funny thing is, the Bears weren't convinced that the Panthers were going to follow through on this trade. So, or like one of the teams, I was either the Texans or the Panthers. You can search up the news story a little bit, but what ultimately ended up happening is Bears go back to the Panthers so that they could get Bryce Young over CJ Stroud. So what I like to hear about this is that, yet again, Ryan Poles will go through every situation and think about it and try and orchestrate something. And the best part about this double trade down is because of the quarterback position. Not a lot of people want to trade up for a wide receiver, defensive end, or anything like that. For some, yes. But the quarterback, as we know, the quarterback is the most important position, and a lot of people have the 3 quarterbacks, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, highly sought after. But let's go into what could move the Bears off of the first pick in the draft. And let me know what you think down below, because for me, I've said this, I think that the Bears are going to keep this first pick. The more I watch Caleb Williams, the more I'm like, holy crap. But that's not what today's about. Today is about what could move the Bears off. And yet again, this isn't about moving from 2 to 1. This is about going from basically Drake May to Caleb Williams. How much is Caleb Williams worth? Because in my opinion, he's the only quarterback that I gave out an elite grade to. The other ones I gave first round grades. I like them, but I don't love them compared to what I saw out of Caleb Williams. And that's where takes this guy, Cliff Kingsbury. If he wants Caleb Williams, how much does he have to offer? Let me know how much you would offer down below in the comments. Because what we're hearing, we've talked about this. Adam Schefter was saying it's at least 2 first-round picks to move up that 1 spot to get Caleb Williams. But then also Brad Spielberger reported from the Senior Bowl, what he was hearing was at a minimum, it would be the Bears' second-round pick that they traded to the Commanders, and then also the second pick in the draft and a first round next year. Pretty good. But to me, I'm like, you got to give me more if you want me to move off of Caleb Williams. Because to me, if I'm trading back, I'm not getting Drake May. I would rather just try it to accumulate assets and then maybe get someone in the second, which you'll see inside of this mock draft. So I thought, well, what did the Bears do last season, right? They had the picks, and then they say, hey, why don't you throw in a player? So I was like, you know what? I could see them potentially doing that. And that player, if you're a fan of the show, you already know what I'm going to say. Jonathan Allen. I'm curious about that. He's technically underpaid for the level of production he's giving, and I guarantee you Ryan Poles sees that. He was also disgruntled with the Commanders, and now it seems like he's kind of back to normal. But some shows that I was listening to that cover the Commanders are still like, I don't know if he really is in love with some of these pieces out here. So if he's still disgruntled, kind of like how DJ Moore was a little bit, why not try and package him into the deal and get a star defensive tackle up front for your defense, someone who knows Montez Sweat as well. So this is the mother of all hauls, as I'm dubbing it. Would you do this? If you're a Caleb Williams fan, would you do this? I assume Justin Fields supporters would be like, yeah, this is by far enough. But yet again, this is where they're talking about historic hauls. So you have to go above and beyond. So I know some people see this and go, this is crazy. Yeah, that's the whole point of this. But I wanted to go with something that if the Bears truly like Caleb Williams, what could set them over the edge in order to make this deal? Yeah, yet again, let me know what you think down below in the comments. So then the next piece is what I'm calling a new hope for the other teams, the New York Giants, the Atlanta Falcons, the Minnesota Vikings, the Los Angeles, the Vegas Raiders, all those teams, the Broncos that need a quarterback that would probably love to trade up and get someone like a Drake May. Now the Bears at number 2 can say, hey, this goes to the highest bidder. Who wants the chance to draft their franchise quarterback at number 2? Now Poles can dangle this out. And because a lot of mock drafts just go, we'll just get Marvin Harrison Jr., right? The Bears can still show this pick and say, hey, who wants it? Who wants this pick? And this is where, too, if the Bears truly wanted to move and if they wanted to keep Justin Fields and not go after Caleb Williams, it does make sense to try and trade back early, and then you can kind of try to give that to someone else. So just worth a little shot. But who did I end up trading with? The New York Giants, just because there's a lot of rumors with them wanting to get rid of a Daniel Jones, things up in the air a little bit with that. I ultimately went with the Giants also because when I did the mock draft simulation, they were one of the teams that actually offered me something. So little peek behind the curtain. But you could substitute this out with the Falcons, with whoever you would want, right? But ultimately, the Bears getting a first-round pick and a second-round pick this year, and a first and a third the following season. So similar compensation minus like a DJ Moore for that second pick overall, because Drake May, yet again, someone highly sought after, and Jaden Daniels is another person that a lot of people are really liking. And you're able to jump the Patriots so that you can get someone and jump all the other people bidding for that quarterback. This is where, to me, the double trade back does. If the Bears trade back, I want them to do a double trade back. Because then, well, what about Marvin Harrison Jr.? Well, you just accumulated a crap ton of draft capital, and you get premiums because you're trading up for a quarterback. Trading up for like a wide receiver or someone like that, usually you don't have to trade as much. This was actually a 100% trade on the PFF mock draft simulator. So if anyone's hating, blame the simulator. This was over 100%. So technically, the Bears are getting ripped off by this deal. And also, too, just so everyone knows, the first deal had to be forced. Why? Because it's an absolute haul. Yet again, historic haul. That's why it had to be forced. But the other ones happened naturally through the mock draft simulator. So the Bears end up trading up to the Cardinals. Why? Cardinals need draft picks. Cardinals have a bad team. They need more picks to add more talent to their team. So we trade the 75th pick overall and the 6th pick so the Cardinals can still get one of the top wide receivers, seemingly, with whether it's Roma Dunze or a Malik Neighbors that falls to them. So they're still able to get someone, and there's a lot of rumors around the NFL that a lot of teams see them relatively equally. So with that, why not? They can get their wide receiver, and the Bears are taking a bet that Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be better than those other wide receivers. Or, they can stay there and pick whoever. But Marvin Harrison Jr. to the Bears. So that's ultimately what ends up happening here. And that now you are able to get him at 4, but you still accumulated a second, a first next year, and a third next year just from trading that number 2 pick to the highest bidder for the rights to draft the quarterback not named Caleb Williams. So now what happens with the rest of the mock? Down with the 9th pick overall, there was no other wide receivers or anyone to kind of bolster the wide receiver room. So ultimately I traded down. And like we said before, the 9 spot is a perfect spot for the Bears to trade down if they want to. Ultimately, I traded with the Raiders and we got a 3rd pick. So we kind of recouped the 77th pick after trading the 75th, and then also a 3rd rounder for the next season. But then also going away with Dallas Turner, the edge out of Alabama. We've talked about this. Lots of people there. You could go with the offensive lineman. You could go with Jackson Powers Johnson, the center, if you wanted to go bold. But that's ultimately what I ended up going with because, yet again, Mock Draft Simulator only got so many options out there for us. But offensive lineman could be another option here. But the rest of the mock draft, I actually double dipped at the edge spot with Chop Robinson because he lasted till pick 47. But someone that I want to bring up is at pick 40, whatever that first, second round pick, right? If this is a crazy, crazy hypothetical, this is Kevin Costner, NFL draft, draft day types of aspects out here, right? If the Bears have whatever that first, second round pick is that they have, I would say draft a quarterback. Get someone as an insurance policy in case Fields doesn't look like that guy if you're keeping him. Also, it gives you a shot at maybe a J.J. McCarthy drops. There's a lot of rumors that he might go in the first. And then same thing with Bo Nix. There's rumors he might go in the first, and there's rumors that he's going to be out of the second. I think Michael Penix Jr., I feel like he's almost a lock to not go in the first because of all of his injuries. And that's another person that has a very good talent ceiling that the Bears might want to take a chance on. So to me, draft a quarterback that should have gone in the first, that falls to the second to develop underneath Fields. Because if Fields doesn't look good, now you have a backup that you might want to take a chance with. Maybe that guy develops and looks really great. Otherwise, you have 3 first-round picks the next season that you could get whoever you want. So to me, it gives you a lot of options at the quarterback position. So this is, for me, if I had an offer that I couldn't refuse at that number 1 pick, to me, I'm drafting a quarterback in the second round, someone to at least just give me a chance as a, potential someone that we can develop if Fields ends up not being that guy for us. So then also later on, Cam Kitchens is sliding down draft boards at safety. Why not bring him in as at least a backup? Hopefully the Bears end up signing someone in free agency. And also Bo Limmer, the center out of Arkansas, Bears bringing him in. And then tackle Isaiah Adams out of Illinois. So you're at least adding some offensive line depth later on, but also we're double dipping at the edge rusher spot and just kind of wanted to show that there's good talent. Chop Robinson was available. Then you could maybe get rid of someone else. You could get rid of a DeMarcus Walker you could get rid of Walker if you really wanted to. But what do you think? It's an absolutely crazy, outlandish scenario. We thumbs up on this, or are you not a fan of it? Now, like I've said before, there's a million things that could go on, and that's why we try to go through every possible option that the Bears could do. And to me, if the Bears do have an offer that they can't refuse, I actually hope that they do something more like this than anything else. Like I've said, not a huge fan of Drake May or Jaden Daniels compared to a Caleb Williams. So if they did this, why not get an absolute haul and see what Fields can do for a season, and then you draft another quarterback if that trade for the number 1 to down to number 2 is that insane. But let me know what you think. Make sure to like and subscribe out there on YouTube and rate 5 stars everywhere you get your podcast. And with that, Unbearable Sports Podcast, we are out.
Yeah, she's got some nice long hair, and you know that she's a bad